Hey guys, it's been a while since I've dropped in the coaching group a little video on financial tips, and so I want to do that. We do have the webinar coming up near the end of the month over lunchtime, over the lunch hour. Hope you can tune in for the live webinar or watch the replay. But I wanted to delve into this idea of financial micro habits. Now, this is something that has really been something I've been exploring, not just in the realm of finances, but in life in general. You can certainly apply this to your business, to any goal that you're working on, any area of life. And that is the idea of micro habits. So what is a micro habit? It's something simple to do. For example, I am working on something in my own life right now that, for lack of a better term, is kind of like the daily dozen. 12 really small habits a day. And they're little things like, did I have a conversation today? Did I encourage somebody today? Did I take time to have a moment of focused prayer today? It doesn't mean that I had to spend a ton of time in this thing, but am I practicing it? And so in your finances, how can you apply this micro habit principle? One thing that I can think of from conversations just this week is when you're checking in on your financial dashboard. One thing sometimes that people get into with their retirement is they get so stressed out, they're checking it every day, they're watching the market, and it makes them super anxious. What if you developed a habit where you checked in once a week? What if you checked on your retirement like once a month? What if you weren't doing that every day? What would that micro habit do for your contentment, for your stress level, for your worry, and your ability to do what you can do today? What about a micro habit of choosing to keep your emergency savings in a safe place? It's not something to toy around in investment, but it's something that's earning you maybe more than your local bank interest is. And what I mean by that is the general financial education thing of look at potentially at a money market or a high yield savings account that's getting you a little bit more. Again, that money's parked there. It's for emergencies. You're not investing it. This isn't something to be playing the investment game with. But Jesus talked about in the parable of talents when the one man was hiding everything because he expected Jesus to come back, his one talent buried in the ground. And Jesus looked at him and said, "You wicked, lazy servant, you should have at least put it," a talent was a unit of money, "you should have at least put it with the bankers and I would have received interest when I returned." You didn't multiply, you didn't invest it, but you should have at least had the basic interest. And so there's a principle there about money management that Jesus is speaking of, about how we can manage what's sitting there even in a wise way. What about this financial micro habit? Go over to the Ramsey website if you haven't. They have a helpful tool. There's other places I'm sure out there too, but I love the functionality of the Ramsey tool is they have a coverage checkup. You can Google it and find it. And in about 5 minutes, you can do a checkup on where is your insurance coverages? What do you need? So that is one way that you can, in about 5 minutes, get a report and it'll send it back to you. And it has a nice color-coded portal and prioritization of things for you, a little self-assessment that'll help you take a look at, is my family covered? Do I have those things in place? Another micro habit, getting your will updated. It's something that you probably don't have to pay a ton of money for or go through a massive trust, but if you don't have the plans in place for what's going to happen to your assets when you pass away, how's it going to go to your family? If you're single, how's it going to go on to, and even if you're married, you may want to leave to different ministries and that type of things in addition to your family, but family is probably a top goal up there. But if you're single, still, what's going to happen? I had a will for a majority of my adult life, and I've updated it different times. Because if something ever happened to me, hope not, but at some point, we're all going to pass away. I want that to go where I'd want it to go. And then here's a micro habit as well. And this one might hurt a little bit for the Christians listening. Sometimes there's this idea, or we kind of joke about it, but we really kind of embrace it, which is we're planning on the rapture to be our retirement. You ever heard something along those lines? It'd be great if the Lord comes back in our lifetime, and none of us are going to know the day or the hour. The Bible's very clear about that. You can't predict it. You're not going to know exactly. There's been many generations of Christians that have gone before us that thought Jesus was coming back in their lifetime. And I think that there is an appropriate way in which Scripture communicates that to us. And the reason why the Lord has left it very clearly that nobody knows the day or hour, because if we did, then we could be prone to be unmotivated. If it was distance, way into the future and we knew that, then we could be kind of a little smug or lackadaisical even. So there is a motivating purpose to that. However, I want to push back a little bit and suggest this when it comes to your finances. Don't be lazy and cop out of taking stewardship and responsibility for your family, for your personal finances, and for your management of what the Lord has given you by having that type of quote-unquote theological cop-out. You're still accountable for what you do here. Parable of the talents, which I mentioned before, is very much true about that. I mention that often in our financial videos. Jesus speaks a lot about money, and it reveals a lot about our heart, about our contentment levels, about our dependence on God, about our generosity versus greed, about who really is our master. Money is a fabulous tool. It's a cruel master. And we see that in Matthew chapter 6 and other places. So the takeaway for us is this. You've just spent a couple of minutes on this live video, or maybe you are watching the replay of it. I want to encourage you to identify one micro habit for your finances that you can put into place. It can be one to improve how you're interacting with money. It might be due to the stress level or the emotional level of how you're doing it. It might be something to like automate your retirement or take advantage of your work's retirement match and get that free money that they're going to match up to a certain amount. That's just sitting there if you don't have it set up. Choose to take a step. Accomplish that actionable small step soon, a micro step, a micro habit. And then as you begin to have, here's the sunny side of it all. When you begin to build those micro habits, okay, I did one. Well, okay, what's another thing? And then also, what's maybe something I can remove? That's a different way of thinking about it. What's something I can remove from my life that's busy work and not really doing anything? Continue to take one tiny micro action step after another, and they build huge cumulative effects. Think about what it would be if you did this just 20 times in a year. If you improved your financial life and your personal goals by 1% each time you did that by something very small. It might be a one-off thing, or it might be a small daily habit that takes you 2 or 3 minutes. Like we brush our teeth, right? It helps prevent cavities and help our teeth last longer. It doesn't take a long time, but it's a habit that pays off. Getting up and standing more often after sitting for a certain period of time, if you're in that type of job, it helps you stay healthier. It helps you stay more alert. It has big dividends. So the point is, how can you take that tiny step that's going to pay off now and down the road? The more habits you form, they then begin to shape your character and your legacy. And that's a powerful thing. Let's be good stewards.